after I started writing about them, Jeff Bezos followed me on Twitter, and all kinds of crazy amounts of people have been contacting us.
The show where we get you the week's biggest stories from around this world. What is the India story? It's the story of the world's biggest democracy.
We are developing the road infrastructure. In the end of 24, it will be equivalent to the road infrastructure of USA.
We have now entered the growth phase. And I believe that the growth rate in India is going to be exponential.
Two narratives of Indian story which need to be brought center stage.
Every week, the India story will bring the most...
Hello and welcome, I'm I.N.D.I.A, and you have tuned into a special election show where we will travel globally and take you through the streets of demands, corridors of politics, and finally the room of voting. This is Race to Power. Let's get started. Now, India is at a political cusp. State elections have wrapped up, the winter parliament session has started, and national elections are just months away. So we are asking, what is the India alliance waiting for? We hope to get you an answer in this show. From one opposition to the other, in the United States, the Republicans are gearing up for their fourth debate. The stage is small this time, with only 4 candidates. So who's in and who's out? Stay tuned to find out. All right, let's start with India now. The world's largest and most vibrant democracy is set to go to polls in less than 6 months from now. National elections in India are a grand event. Close to 1 billion people are expected to cast their vote next year. This is more people than all of Europe combined. So the 2024 national elections will not just be a key event for India. The ripples of the mammoth exercise will be felt across the globe. After all, India is not just a massive population. It's also a $3 trillion economy, which is among the world's top 5 at the moment. Who will get to be at the commanding heights in New Delhi will be decided in the elections next year. Going by the events over the weekend, the incumbent government led by Narendra Modi and his Bharatiya Janata Party remain immensely popular among the masses. The party now is in power in most of northern India. Remember, these states have a considerable say when it comes to deciding the government at the centre. The BJP won most of the Lok Sabha states in last elections from this very belt. The recent polls show the party and the Prime Minister in a comfortable position this time as well. Moreover, the opposition does not seem to be in order at the moment. The India Alliance, a coalition of about 28 parties, are still far from presenting a united front. Exhibit A. 2 days ago, the Indian National Congress called a meeting of the alliance on December 6th. But key leaders of regional parties decided to skip the meeting. The Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee, said that she and her regional Trinamool Congress party would be skipping the meeting due to prior commitments. Next is the former Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Akhilesh Yadav, who heads the regional Samajwadi Party. He has publicly criticized Congress for its arrogance in not recognizing the role of regional parties. He was also reported to skip the alliance meet. Now, more reports show that the Chief Minister of Bihar, Nitish Kumar, has also decided against attending the meeting. The list does not end there. Even Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin would have reportedly skipped the meeting given a cyclone battering the state. You see, the Indian National Congress is the single largest opposition party at the centre at the moment. and is positioning itself as BJP's main challenger in the 2024 general elections. But key alliance members are publicly giving a cold shoulder to the Congress, which sends out a message which the people are watching carefully. Congress has reportedly deferred the meeting for later this month. With less than 6 months remaining, the BJP is still at the height of its popularity, and experts say that this is the time for the India alliance to course correct. Now, to give us more insights on this story, we are being joined by Sandeep Ghosh from Kochi, Kerala. He is an author and political commentator. Welcome to the broadcast, sir. I want to ask you, do you think the latest defeat of Congress in the state elections has put the entire India alliance in a tricky position? All right, Mr. Ghosh, we seem to be having an audio issue with you at the moment. We'll try to reconnect with our guest, Sandeep Ghosh, who was trying to join us live from Kochi. Now, for those of you who are joining us on this broadcast now, we are talking about the India alliance being at the moment. All right, we are being told that Mr. Ghosh has joined us back. Mr. Ghosh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, great. If you heard my question, I was trying to ask you, do you think the latest defeat in the state elections by Congress has put the entire India alliance in sort of a jeopardy?
It's not a jeopardy, but I expect a lot of readjustments and recalibrations to happen going forward. You know, they try to put together the alliance when I think it was a bit premature. It was more a statement of intent, or shall I even say not even intent, it was wishful thinking when bringing people together. They thought by that they'll be able to ratchet up some sentiment, anti-BJP consolidation. But it was, if you see theoretically, it had a major fallacy in it, because any alliance would be based on a premise of give and take, adjustments. So people have to eat. Now, when you're talking of regional parties, say in a state like West Bengal, which you just alluded to, where Congress doesn't have any presence. Now, if Trinamool Congress has to give up some seats to Congress, what do they get in exchange? Because Trinamool does not have presence in the rest of India. And therefore, what that do? But therefore, essentially, Trinamool, which has an X number of presence in the center, they will be just giving away the seats without anything in return. And that will weaken their bargaining position even within that alliance. So there were a lot of, I think, there was no real thinking through. They felt that bringing them together, that will sort of cobble up, gather a momentum of anti-BJP sentiment. People will think there is an option, and therefore it will change the dynamics. Now, all that has come, unraveled far too soon with these elections.
Right.
And so, therefore, there will be, and only thing I'll add is, you see, each one today are concerned about their own survival. Like everywhere else in life, in politics also, the shelf life of people have shrunk. So a lot of these older leaders are pretty close to their sell-by date, and therefore they can't really take a chance of doing something now and being out of power for 5 years. By then there'll be history, they'll be irrelevant. So people will do something by which either they cut their losses or they try to make the most of a bad bargain.
Right. Speaking of that, sir, what kind of course correction do you expect, not just Congress, but the entire India alliance to make in the coming 5 to 6 months?
See, first of all, Congress's biggest problem is it cannot think of itself other than being the main opposition party, the numero uno, or, not even the first among equals. They want to be de facto the leader. And therefore, while they'll say, no, we are all equal, we'll decide on the prime minister face later on, but they immediately start projecting, say, Rahul Gandhi as a prime minister in waiting. Now, they have an existential crisis. BJP, for example, they would have factored in both possibilities of their winning or losing these state assembly elections. They would have had their script ready. Had they lost more states, what would have been their script? What would have been their strategy? Now that they've won, they also had a script ready for that. But you look at Congress. Congress is totally at a loss even how to respond to this thing, because they just simply assumed after the Karnataka victory and the so-called Bharat Jodo Yatra that they were on a roll. So right now they don't have an answer. There is all kind of contradictory responses from their own people. Somebody is blaming EVM, somebody is blaming regional leaders, somebody saying that it's North-South divide, and the rest of it. So they are at a loss. So they will have to, and this hardly 2 months to go, between now and when you'll have the model code of conduct and the elections declared. So you might see, therefore, a lot of alignments, configurations. You may find many more of these, what's happened, say, in Maharashtra or for Shiv Sena or NCP, that kind of, reconfigurations happening. Even Telangana, don't be surprised before 2024 if BRS comes into some kind of a tacit or open adjustment with BJP for their own survival. So you'll see a lot more of these things.
You make some very interesting points there, Mr. Ghosh. Thank you so much for joining us here on WION. I'm completely out of time, but thank you so much for giving us all those insights.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, now let's talk about the election fever in the neighborhood. The countdown has begun for general elections in Pakistan with less than 2 months before Pakistan goes to polls. The country is scrambling to finance the election. Pakistan's Ministry of Finance has received about 17.4 billion worth of funds as per the local currency. The ministry's statement comes after reports surfaced revealing that Pakistan's Election Commission had summed the ministry for not providing adequate election funds till now. Just hours after reports surfaced, the ministry released a statement revealing that additional funds had been released to the Election Commission. The latest batch of funds released brings the grand total of funds to 27.4 billion rupees. But it seems that even now there isn't enough money to conduct the elections smoothly. Earlier in March, the ECP had asked the Finance Ministry for 65 billion rupees to conduct polls smoothly. But the total money received till now is not even half of what the Commission has been requesting for. It comes as no surprise that cash-strapped Pakistan is scrambling to fund its February elections. Even the Finance Ministry is believed to have told ECP that it is difficult to provide the money to the poll body as the country is in the middle of a quote-unquote challenging economic situation. Now for more on this, our Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik has sent us a report.
The Election Commission of Pakistan has been released 17 billion Pakistani rupees to hold elections. This after a seeming deadlock that had emerged after reports in a section of the media that said that the Election Commission was yet to get money. The Secretary of the Election Commission yesterday met Secretary Finance. The interim government maintained that this was a procedural delay, after which it has now been confirmed that the money indeed has been released ahead of the February 8th slated date for the polls to be held in the country. Anas Malik in Islamabad, Pakistan for WION World is One.
Let's shift our focus to Bangladesh, where political violence has overshadowed an impending election. The country goes to polls on January 7th next year, and with just 1 month left, the opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party is staring at a major leadership void. For the past month, we have been seeing visuals of political unrest, violence, arson and blockades coming from Bangladesh. But the BNP-led movement against the incumbent Sheikh Hasina government has been carried out without any senior party leadership. For weeks now, party workers and political activists are at the heart of the political unrest. And top leadership of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party is nowhere to be seen. Here's why. Most of the senior leadership in the party has either taken ill, passed away, or worse, are either jailed or in hiding. Take a look at these numbers, which spell trouble for the opposition. The BNP had 35 vice chairmen in the party. 9 have died, 5 are in prison. 3 have left the country, 3 have resigned, 1 leader was expelled, and 14 of them are currently in hiding. That's not all. Out of the 75 senior advisory council leaders, 19 have passed away, 3 are imprisoned, 1 leader has been expelled, and 22 remaining leaders are also non-existent when it comes to party responsibilities. But it is not just the opposition in Bangladesh that is in trouble. The ruling Awami League has recently encountered a dead end in its rallies too. The Election Commission of Bangladesh has denied permission to the Hasina-led party for conducting a rally on December 10th. The Election Commission has cited a fear of quote-unquote power display. The rally was earlier announced to mark the Human Rights Day in the country, but the violence which broke out since October 28th has raised concern of fresh unrest if the Awami League rally happens. Now, ironically enough, Sheikh Hasina has been under the scanner for alleged human rights violations under her reign. Opposition parties have been demanding that the Bangladesh Prime Minister steps down and a neutral caretaker authority oversees the January elections. There are just 32 days left for general elections in Bangladesh. Will the opposition be able to pull off a miracle just days before polls and put an end to Sheikh Hasina's 15-year rule? Or will the Hasina-led Awami League sail through this race to power yet again? Those are the questions we have to ask. Moving to the United States now, where 4 candidates have qualified for the 4th GOP presidential primary. The debate is going to take place this Wednesday in Alabama. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie will face off in Alabama's, and this will be the smallest debate stage lineup so far this year. Former President Donald Trump will skip this event too, as expected, just as he has skipped all previous debates. Trump will instead attend a town hall tomorrow and a fundraiser day after in Florida for his candidacy. Haley is expected to be the main contender to Trump's candidature as DeSantis continues to lose ground rapidly. Haley has had a bump in public polls and has gained support from major GOP donors. This including the Koch brothers, who dipped in after her standout debate performances. Vivek Ramaswamy, on the other hand, will also be in the spotlight after a verbal altercation that occurred between him and Nikki Haley during the 3rd GOP debate.
When it then combined with the second religion, constitutional republic, then you need to be on the side of being really clear. We can.
Over to another race to power. In the lead up to Egypt's presidential election on December 10th to 12th, the country is facing severe economic challenges. Financially strapped citizens are queuing up at state-managed cooperatives, hoping to secure scarce ration on subsidized sugar. Despite the economic hardships, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi is expected to secure a 3rd term. Opposition movements have been sidelined and the nation is preoccupied with the ongoing war in neighboring Gaza. However, as the election concludes, analysts are anticipating the implementation of strict economic policies that were likely postponed for political reasons. Now, these measures are seen as crucial to putting Egypt's finances back on track. Years of substantial borrowing abroad have left Egypt burdened with heavy foreign debt and a shortage of hard currency. Allocation of about $3 billion IMF support package were halted due to delays in adopting a flexible exchange rate and reducing state and military dominance in the economy. The Egyptian currency has weakened, reaching about £50 to the dollar on the black market, exacerbating the challenges. Debt repayments in 2024, that's next year, are at an all-time high, standing at least $42.26 billion. In an attempt to address public discontent, the government announced price cuts on staple foods in October. However, the effort has had limited success and prices continue to rise. Priced out of global debt markets, Egypt has resorted to domestic borrowing, leading to a widening deficit. Interest rates have surged, contributing to a doubling of the interest bill on Egypt's debt. Major credit rating agencies, including Moody's, S&P and Fitch, have downgraded Egypt's sovereign debt further into junk territory. The outlook suggests the possibility of economic reforms post-election, including currency devaluation and privatization. However, any devaluation could lead to an increase in inflation, with experts predicting a rise to the 40% range.
In terms of ratings, status quo for another year, but not in terms of inflation. I think inflation is going to go up. Right now we're at 35%. We would be hovering at 34% till end of the year. And starting the first quarter, we are headed, back to the 40% range, by the first quarter of 2024 because of the devaluation and its pass-through impacts on the index.
So as the election concludes, the path ahead for Egypt remains uncertain. Frugality measures may be on the horizon, but the cost of living crisis poses a significant barrier to reforms. The challenge of balancing economic stability with public welfare will be a critical task for the post-election period. And now let's take a look at what else is making headlines in the world of politics. India's Telangana state has a new chief minister. Revant Reddy has been declared as the chief ministerial face of the Indian National Congress in the South Indian state of Telangana. Reddy defeated the incumbent K. Chandrasekhar Rao's Bharat Rashtra Samiti in the state legislative assembly elections. Now, Revant Reddy will take oath as the chief minister in the capital city of Hyderabad on the 7th of December. President Joe Biden is set to kick off a December fundraising blitz. James Taylor and Steven Spielberg are expected to be part of it. The fundraiser is expected to raise millions of dollars and show off the Democratic Party's star power. The campaign and the Democratic Party raised significant funds since Biden announced his re-election bid. $72 million were collected in the second quarter of the year and $71 million were collected in the third. Guinea-Bissau's president has dissolved the nation's parliament after a coup bid. The dissolution follows violence between members of the National Guard and Special Forces of the Presidential Guard. The violence broke out on Thursday night in the capital city. It comes just 6 months after the legislature was reconvened after similar circumstances in 2022, that's last year. Now, the president has said that the date of new elections will be set at an opportune moment. And before we wrap up, here is the power play moment on today's edition of Race to Power. In an act of defiance to the British monarchy, an indigenous lawmaker of New Zealand performed the traditional haka, which is native to the Maori tribe. in the New Zealand Parliament on Tuesday before swearing in on the oath to King Charles as part of his induction ceremony. The haka is primarily a war dance or a challenge that the Maori community performs. A key line of the haka translates to, "It is my time, it is my moment." And with that, we are wrapping up. Thanks for watching Race to Power with me, Ananya Datta. Goodbye.